Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, where we are playing some more Dominions. Yeah, it's a sickness, let me tell you. It really is. To the point of it's like a problem. That I can't stop playing this. And now they released like Dominions Enhanced. They finally ported it over from the last game. And that's like a DLC basically that like doubles the size of the game. It's ridiculous. I have way too many videos, and I can't stop recording more videos. How many? Hold on. I keep checking this number, and then like I have to keep checking it because there's just more and more every time I check. But let me just see here. So I have recorded 187 Let's Play videos so far. So far, I might say. And that is totaling just a hair under 400 hours of content. And that has been since June 7th. So just under 2 months. That's what I'm talking about. That's the problem. And it's like I'm not even done. Like there's just more. There's just more to come. And Lego and I mean, this is like the longest thing we've ever done on Two Brothers Play. Because we just can't stop playing it there. And like, we never reach a point where we finish a game and we're like, okay, I think that's it. You know, we just keep going and just start a new game and just keep going and just keep going. So yeah, there's that. Yeah. So I realize probably not a lot of people are interested. I get it, but I just can't stop. And I really like the recording, like I said. The uploading is fine and comments are fine, and I guess I could just not upload, you know. Although I don't think there's really any harm in it. But I just like it's a lot more fun to record than it is to just play. I mean, I do play, I guess. Solo some rare times, but mostly it's all recorded. But yeah, like, you know, the RimWorld expansion's now been out for some time, and I still don't really have any interest in playing it, because, you know, I'll get to it eventually. It is have a very positive rating, and I'm pretty sure Combat Extended is available. Here's a negative review, though. Do you like being nomadic and traveling around with a ship? No? Well, sucks to be you, because that's about all this DLC offers. There isn't any side content to fall back on. So if you don't like the main content and the main focus, you're just out of luck. Yeah, so I have seen some negative reviews here that are like, it's kind of overpriced for what you get. It's mainly just like a lot of modded content that has now been made official. And yeah, if you don't like being part of a nomadic ship and traveling around, then there isn't much to offer for you. I don't know, but I have heard that it does offer like some massive improvements. I don't know if that's specifically tied to the DLC though, but there's like been some massive improvements with like load times and optimization. That was all the buzz before it released. I don't know how that panned out. But I don't know, if it gives modders more tools, then you know, it's all good. We like mods. Anyways, right. So this week on this channel, Dominions, of course. No surprise there. That's going to be every week now for probably the remainder of my channel's lifetime. Sad to say. Happy to say. I don't know. And we also had, so we did Fire Emblem, and now we started doing RimWorld, because this is from months and months back. I recorded some RimWorld. So that's all good. And that's it. That's going to be this week. More RimWorld and more Dominions. I do still have a lot of RPG stuff. And I actually am planning to record some more RPG stuff today, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, there's that. And then Two Brothers, we're just going to keep playing Dominions because it's the best game ever made. So that's good. Over on the Exploring series, we had part 2 of the Steel Soul, and as expected, very few people watched it. That's okay. Can't all be big winners. You know, sometimes Marvel movie directors make some like Oscar bait emotional black and white movie or something, so you know, it happens. And this week I worked on something completely different, like 180-degree difference from the Steel Soul. And that was maladaptive auto-cannibalism, anuxophobia. Oh yes, it's weird, wild stuff, baby. It's about an anomaly that makes people just bite their fingers and chew their fingers and consume their fingers, and they like it. That's the anomaly. You know, there's a bit more to it than that, but that's the anomaly. For all those nail biters out there, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of gross, I suppose. I think it could have been actually a lot grosser, to be honest. I think there was some punches pulled, it felt. But I'm sure it'll gross plenty of people out and bother some people that don't like the idea of chewing on their fingers. Whoever those people might be. And that's that. I don't know what I'm working on next week. I have no idea. Don't look at that kind of stuff. I think it might be explained SCPs. Which will be fun. That's kind of all there is to say about that. Yeah, that's really all there's to say. Right. So, RPG stuff. So first, let me talk about the session we had in Storm King's Thunder with 13th Age. Let's see, how did we start? Oh, they were heading into Golan Fields, right. So Chapter 2. We could have gone to any one of the 3 towns that were going to be kind of beset by giants in different ways. And I sent them to Golan Fields because I thought it was kind of the most appropriate for various reasons. Including the... the fact that it's beset by hill giants, and it involves hill giants. And since that's going to be... I'm planning on them going through all the different giants. I wanted them to start with hill giants. I don't want to introduce them and have them, like, confront storm or cloud giants or, you know, frost giants or something. It's like, I want them to meet the lowest on the totem pole. And, like, yeah, this, you're not ready for even this yet. But soon. Soon, perhaps, if you play your cards right. Alright, I'm not... Let me... I'll think. Thoughts will come to me. Right, so Golan Fields. You know, I really played up like how idyllic this place is and everything. You know, it's the mead and the bread and the fine crops and just bountiful food, and you know, mostly really just everything's pleasant. And there's an awakened tree there that the kids are climbing on and having a fun time with, and just everything is so much fun and happiness. And it's so good. And then disaster. And, you know, I follow various pieces of advice from things I've read online about sort of playing up a little bit about how the place is not super safe, or it's lax. Its security is kind of lax, you know. And so I played that up in a few ways. Like they overhear an argument when they come in between one of the local like acolytes and the lazy Castellan, the captain of the guard kind of thing. That he's just, oh yes, everything's fine and blah blah blah. And so there are a few things that I mentioned and played up in relation to that, just to maybe spur them to like, hey, maybe like something's gonna happen here and we should be alert. We should be on alert. They were not. They were not on alert. I'll just tell you that right now. I'll spoil it for you. They were not on alert at all. And they just, they perused around. They did kind of ask some questions, you know, they investigated a little bit, but ultimately they were just like, yeah, okay, well, let's go to bed. And I think they were still kind of on this vein of like, they need to do something. The Giants, we got to do something about the Giants. Who maybe someone here, maybe there's a druid here and we can find out information about how to take on the Giant. And it's like, I really had to just lay it out for them. Like, okay, the book does not actually have Zephyros, the cloud giant they meet. He doesn't explain any of what I explained to them by the book. You know, he doesn't tell them the whole plot or anything. And I think they do that specifically to avoid this situation where the players are suddenly convinced that they have to do something. They have to be involved. You know, they have to start spearheading the plot to take down the Giants. When really, like, you're meant to just kind of be along for the ride. You're just kind of wandering. You're just doing adventuring stuff for a while. You're not really, you know, you're not meant to take on giants. I think most players know that, but, you know. But what I think that encounter and the whole thing with Zephyros is supposed to do is show you that, hey, not all giants are evil fucks, you know? Like, some of them are actually just kind of kindly and care about, you know, people other than giants and stuff. So maybe don't just slaughter all of them indiscriminately, because some of them are kind of cool. And I think they did catch on to that. So, good. Right. But so yeah, they spent a little bit of time wandering around Golden Fields and observing some chatting. They went and chatted with the abbot of the church there, and they really wanted to like find the acolyte that they overheard arguing. Because they were like, oh, she must know something. You know, she knows something's up. We got to talk to her. We got to find her. And so they wanted the abbot to like show them where her room was at the church. And it's like, yeah, I don't think so. But you know, it's basically a dead end. And then the book has this whole thing where you're meant to introduce these various NPCs around the town. And then during the whole battle sequence, like the night raid by the giants and the goblins and all that stuff, you're supposed to have each player control like one or more of the NPCs during different encounters. And so they even have like little, you know, kind of stat block sections that you give to the players that show their like personality and motivation and what their flaw is or whatever. And they're all meant to get into these NPC characters, and it's like, why? Why would we do this? Like, if we wanted to role play as more than one character, we would just role play as more than, but we don't. We're happy with our one character. Like, I don't want to have to temporarily become another character and get into their mindset or whatever. Like, just, this is completely unnecessary, especially for my players that are not that good at not that good at getting into one character, you know? So, yeah, I skipped that entirely. But yeah, so of course the place is attacked that night, and we get into it. And it's you know, I did 3 battles. So 3 battles. I wouldn't say they were really escalated perfectly well, because they all were kind of balanced encounters, you know? So the escalation is more just the fact that they're running low on resources, low on spells, low on recoveries, rather than the final battle is actually the biggest battle. You can do it that way. I could have made the first couple like a bit easier and then made the third one bigger. In the future, I probably would. But I made them all kind of somewhat balanced and equal. But the third battle kind of was the climax, because that had some hill giants. And I did it so that there were 2 hill giants that were kind of battling with a whole group of guards, you know, the Goldenfield guards. And the players were tackling some goblins and some wargs, you know, and they were keeping them busy and dealing with those. And the guards were all just fighting the giants. And at the end of every turn, I was rolling, I think I did like 2d2. And that was how many guards were dying each turn. Like, just getting obliterated by these hill giants. And it was basically like this kind of timer on the battle. Because once the guards scattered or were all dead or whatever, the giants were gonna like, okay, let's deal with these other filthy humans over here. So it was really kind of this big timer on the battle. I don't know if the players really cared or realized that that was what was happening, but it's certainly what I was doing. And thankfully, they basically finished off all the goblins and wargs right as all the guards pretty much died and scattered. And so this was like sort of the moment where it was like, okay, like there were a bunch more guards with bows and stuff on the walls, and they were kind of watching this scene. I didn't say all this really, but I think I said a little bit of that. And I was like, okay, the giants, you know, they finish taking care of the guards, and then they turn towards you and they heft their weapons. And, you know, what do? And this was their prompt to basically, like, stand their ground against these giants that they're pretty certain they're not going to be able to handle, or try and run away. And, you know, I wanted to do it with, like, as little prompting as possible. And they, to their credit, decided not to run away. They stood their ground. They basically were like, fuck it, let's do it. So that was good. And so they, I had the giants then realized that the raid wasn't going to be bearing much fruit for them, so they just fucked off. And then all the guards on the walls started cheering, you know, and because, yeah, I mean, the players didn't really fight the giants, granted, but they seemingly scared them off. And they did fight, like, multiple packs of the raiders, goblins and hobgoblins and an ogre and stuff. So they did fight all that, and it's like, okay, they were kind of the heroes of Golden Fields. I mean, everyone's going to be saying, like, thank goodness they were there. So, yeah. I thought it went pretty well. Everyone really loved it, so that was good. And I believe we leveled up to level 3. I also before that session, made a custom class for my mom, the Brute, that was basically as dead simple as I could make it, with like really no active abilities of any kind, but just strong, like good, like better stats than any class in the book, like better stats than the fighter kind of thing, but just hits stuff hard. And then if they roll like max damage on any of their weapon dice when they roll them, they get to add their strength modifier a second time to the damage. You know, just basic big stuff. Still get something kind of fun to roll and look out for, but yeah, simple but effective. And so she did well with it. I mean, it wasn't anything complicated to think about or anything like that. So yeah, she liked it. She was glad to have it. So that was all good. And that was all good. However, since that session, which was Wednesday, and today, the Draw Steel was released, which is Matt Colville's new game. And I'll admit that I have not watched a whole lot of his content, but I've watched some of his content. And I think that he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. And I think that he has a love of 4th edition D&D, and I think that's commendable. And 4th edition will always have a soft spot in my heart, because it was my first RPG, and we spent a lot of time with it. So I was definitely interested in Draw Steel. And people have been very much balking at the price. It's a massive set of books. There's a heroes book and a monsters book. Together, they're 802 pages, which is quite fantastical. And together, the digital files, just the digital files for both of them together, cost $70. That is admittedly a very high price for just PDFs. And yeah, I mean, you can say that it's an appropriate price for the content and the work and the time involved. You can say all that, and I not one to refute you or anything like that. It very much could be. But I think they will struggle to get some sales because of it. That's all. Now, interestingly, it's an open license. So, like, the entire rulebook and all the monsters and everything can just be put online. And there's already, like, a compendium. A Draw Steel compendium that just kind of has everything in it online. So you don't really have to buy it. But I did, because I want to support it. And so then if you want to get both physical books and the PDFs, all that together, it's $140, which is, it's high. Yeah. But it's an RPG, and I'm going to play it. So, you know, it's a lot of entertainment for a large amount of people and hours and everything, so fuck it. And then I also got the, there's a starter kit, which honestly is quite extensive. Like, for what you get. It's quite extensive. That's $10. So I bought that as well. I actually bought that first, and then I liked enough of what I read that I decided to get the whole thing. And so yeah, it's really good. It's really good. It's really good for a very specific type of RPGer. That is not to say that it's going to be good for everybody. But if you're the type of person that likes, say, 4th edition, or likes any sort of tactical RPG, that likes a lot of in-depth combat, lengthy combats, character options, character customization options, things like that, I think that it's a very solid option. And the amount of customization available is really fun. I think it's basically like if 13th Age and Pathfinder 2nd Edition had sort of a love child. Both of those games are inspired by 4th Edition D&D in different ways, and obviously so is Draw Steel. But to me, just reading it, it feels like 4th Edition 2.0 or something. Like, it feels like 4th Edition D&D reborn. So far, it's like all the good aspects of 4th edition that I liked kind of remastered with a lot of fun modern stuff in there as well. So far I'm a big fan of the reading that I've done. And I am planning on... Where the fuck is this? Oh, what? Oh, he's a fucking sailing nation. Oh, God. I wasn't even paying attention. It's really obnoxious. Right, so I'm, I like so much of what I've read that I'm actually planning to convert this Storm King's Thunder campaign, at least for one session, just to give it a try. Because I was planning on, you know, they're about to start Chapter 3. And Chapter 3 of Storm King's Thunder is the big open chapter where the game basically is like, yeah, just let them wander around and maybe explore some places, go to different towns. I don't know, do stuff. Until they're like, we don't know what to do, we're done with this. Okay, let's do Chapter 4 now. That's basically the whole thing. So I was planning on doing a one-shot sort of side adventure anyways. Of just like something not in the book, like a third-party thing of just like, okay, let me just run this, and we'll tie it into the same characters, the same campaign sort of thing. So this is now a perfect opportunity then to just do that, but use Draw Steel. And so I was talking to Lego about this during the stream last night a bunch, and he actually already made his character. There's a nice, very nice online character builder already. So he made his character, and I went ahead and made copies. I basically try to convert their current characters to this new system to have a pre-gen for them. Because I don't think they'll ever get into making their own character. That's just not what they're about. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really just like a lot of fun, exciting stuff. Like, again, it's a specific type of game. Like, but it's like 13th Age. It's that sort of superhero, almost cinematic fantasy hero shit sort of stuff. Like, very powerful, high-powered stuff. Very cinematic, but like you're just calling down conflagrations, and you're bashing things, throwing guys through walls, and you know, all this sort of stuff, and just it's all really cool, fun things if you're into that. It's a very far cry from like Shadow Dark, Tales of Argosa, OSR sort of. We need to track. We're running out of food, so you know, our torches are dying. We're running out of food. We're dying. Oh God, what's happening? Why is this happening to us? Like, it's the complete opposite end of that, as in sort of fantasy RPGs. And I like both. I like, because I started with 4th edition D&D, which was very kind of big superhero fantasy stuff. But I also like the OSR. I like tracking my food sometimes, and getting into acts, and you know, all the insane like detail involved in that. But I also don't mind just like fun tactical combat. So yeah, we're gonna give that a try on Wednesday, and I think after this stream I'm gonna try doing a little solo thing out of the starter kit, just to get at the hang of the combat. Like, just personally, I find that's the best way for me to do it. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. Lego's pretty pumped about it, because he was reading a lot. He was looking at a lot of abilities, and you know, he likes all that tactical stuff for combat, because it's something very kind of tangible to him. You know, he struggles with like theater of the mind and imagination and thinking up plans and stuff, whereas this is almost more like a video game. We have, you know, we use like Foundry or whatever. He's got his laptop, he's got his character sheet, and he can think of it as if he's playing like a digital sort of Fire Emblem kind of game, or Final Fantasy Tactics or something, you know. And he likes looking over all the abilities and min-maxing his character and things like that. So this is very much up his alley, so he's pretty excited about that. And then I was talking to my mom all about it and explaining everything, and you know, she was pretty excited because I was hyping it up, and you know, she was concerned, of course, that it's might be complicated or something, but honestly, I don't know. I think there's a lot of options for character creation and stuff. But like, I made her basically like a brute. I made her the Fury class, and I tried to make it as simple as possible, and I think it's pretty damn simple. Like, there's going to be new mechanics and stuff, but it's not that dissimilar to 13th Age. And mainly she just gets like a signature attack that's just a really heavy hit, and honestly, she could just use that every turn. And most people wouldn't want to do that because it's kind of boring, but she could just use that every turn and kind of do okay. You know, like be pretty viable. Like, it's a really high damage hit. Like, on average, it's going to do 8 damage. And let's see, like a level 1 Goblin Warrior has 15 health. So, you know, on average, she's killing a target in 2 hits. And if she rolls really well, 17 or higher, you know, she one-shots it. So it's pretty good for like your just every turn ability. That's the other thing. It's not a 2d20, or it's not a 1d20 system. It's a 2d10 system, so there's a curve, and it makes like small bonuses a lot more impactful. With 13th Age, we are already getting up to like, okay, you have to add +9 to your roll because this thing's got a 23 AC, and you know, we're just already getting into these ballooned numbers, which was a big part of the problem with 4th edition, actually, was the numbers started to get ridiculous. And it wasn't really fun to like, that you always had to operate in this very narrow band of creatures that you could fight, just because you had such a tiny, minuscule chance of hitting something. Like, I remember very vividly, we had our big, massive, epic campaign, probably the most epic campaign I'll ever have, and I had just become like a demigod within the narrative, which was really cool. And I was so fucking cocky and overconfident, like I thought I could do anything. So we specifically sought out like one of the hardest things we could fight, which ended up being like this ancient volcanic dragon. And yeah, we got our asses fucking handed because we could only hit it on like a 20. You had to crit to hit it because it was so high level. And it was just like, if we could if the numbers were just normalized and we could hit it like 30% of the time instead of 5% of the time, like we would have probably demolished it or done very well for ourselves. But it was just this fucking dice mechanic, and it's just like, I get it, but it's not super fun. This game, completely different. Not only is it a 2d10 system with much smaller numbers in general, but you can't miss. There are no misses. If you roll an ability, no matter what, you hit it. It's just a matter of like how well you hit it. And that goes for the enemies too. Like, they can't miss you. So things are and this is not the first game to do that, of course, but it's really, like, again, like, it fixes one of the biggest issues that I had with 4th edition of just like, you either have to fight within this very narrow band and hit like 50 or 55% of the time, and oftentimes you're just whiffing entirely, or you try to fight something above your pay grade and you hit like 5 or 10% of the time, and it's just really fucking lame. Here, none of that. And Lego is also really excited about this aspect because, you know, he very much gets laser focused on how poor he's rolling, you know, and he just misses and whiffs all these attacks. Or my nephew, he doesn't want to ever use his big abilities because he uses it and then he misses and they do like nothing basically, or almost nothing. That is not the case with this game. So we're gonna see how it goes. I mean, yeah, the enemies hit constantly. They always hit. And there's a lot of enemies. But every character can just heal themselves using like a minor action on their turn. Like, it uses up recoveries, which you don't have an unlimited number of, but still, I mean, like, you know, health is going to go up, down, enemies are going to be obliterated, you know, it's going to be a lot of, I think it's going to be very fun. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited, and I'll be recording a solo thing. I may upload it just out of order. Like, I've been kind of slowly uploading chronologically my solo RPG stuff, but I still have so much of that to upload. But I might just upload this now because it's kind of topical because the game just came out. Yeah. Anyways, that's that. So I'll have more to talk about that next week and see how this change goes and see how they like draw steel. But so far, yeah, I mean, everything I've been reading seems really polished and just fun. It just seems fun. Like 13th Age, yeah, it's got stuff going for it, but there's also a bunch of it I just don't care for. Like the whole icon system, I didn't have any interest in the first edition. I still don't have any interest in it in the second edition. I don't get it, really. I think I just don't get how it's supposed to work in play. I don't know, and like my players certainly wouldn't really have any connection with it, so I have no interest in like trying to make it work. And it's just and there seems like so much of the game is tied to like the icons, you know, and what's your connection with the Emperor. It's like, I don't give a shit, let me just play the game. I don't know, it probably works well for some. It's this kind of very narrative thing that's probably just too narrative for my style, for my taste. Yeah, I like some of the narrative stuff that it does, like the montage sequences and things like that, but the whole icon connection and using icon dice, and then you can just like make up shit. The players can just make up shit or something with icon connections. I still don't get it. I still don't get it. So anyways, Draw Steel doesn't have any of that. It's still very much like big, lengthy combat. Like, combats are not going to be quick, which is another issue that we sort of had with 4th edition, where it was just like, yeah. I mean, it's tough because like some of the most memorable stuff for 4th edition was the combat, like the big epic battles we got into. Like I still remember them because they were so epic. You know, it wasn't just like a Shadow Dark thing of just like, okay, here's a big epic fight and it's over in like 5 minutes because, you know, everything has really little health and it's just kind of like I swing, you swing, you know, whatever. The battles in 4th edition we had, like at the higher level, were just insane. Like 4-hour ordeals or whatever, you know, it's just like ridiculous. We had one where a lich was besieging the town we were in with his entire undead army, and it was just such a massive thing that we did. Where the undead were just like pouring in and we were just raining down like spells and we had set up defenses everywhere and it was this whole big thing my DM did and it was just so memorable. Or the battle with the volcanic dragon. I mean, that was really memorable for one reason, but then we like barely made it out alive out of just sheer luck. And it was like such an insane moment too. I think, you know, most of the big memorable stuff we remember was from battles. So my hope is that, you know, a Draw Steel will still have lengthy combat because it's a very involved process, but I'm hoping that all these different mechanics and the different monster rules, the malice rules and things like that are going to keep it interesting throughout the battle. And I think there's a lot of like triggered actions. I think he put a big emphasis on triggered actions that are not on your turn, in order to always keep you engaged. You're always paying attention to what's going on. You're not like, I swung, I missed, okay, back to my phone. That's the big problem when you're playing like tactical games. And I think there are certain classes in 13th Age that are meant to do this sort of triggered action on other people's turn sort of things, but most of them are not. Most of them are just like, I swung, I missed, whoops. Whereas Draw Steel, very focused on solving that problem. So I'm really interested in seeing how that plays out. That does make it a very difficult game to play solo. So I'm not going to be doing like a lengthy series on it solo or anything. I just want to do it like one or maybe 2 videos just to get the hang of combat and see how certain mechanics function. Yeah, anyways. So, more Dominion 6 this week, more RimWorld this week. Over on the Exploring series, we have maladaptive auto-cannibalism. Very fun, cheery topic. I can't believe it didn't get demonetized or flagged or something. I might jinx myself now by saying that, but I have auto-cannibalism in the title. The script is not really that sugar-coated. I mean, there's definitely, like... Especially because it involves children, too. It's like children biting off their own fingers and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. And I was like, should I put something... Because they ask you for, like, the content, for, like, ad suitability. They ask you to judge it before they... And I have a good rating. So they trust my judgment. It went down. It got axed when I did the movie review things because I was trying to let everything slide through, and then it got flagged and demonetized. So then they axed my trust rating. But I got it back now, so we're good. But I'm worried now. So they ask you about the ad suitability. I was like, should I put something about like sensitive topics or self-harm and it's like, there's like different categories you can do and different degrees you can do. And it's like, if I put the basic level of self-harm, it'll go through fine. All ads will still play, but it's meant for like really just like preventative. Like if you're doing a video, it's like preventing people from self-harming or something like that. And you use like only really vague topics. And I'm like, this doesn't apply. This is like an entertainment article about people that eat their own fingers because they're traumatized. And it's like, but then if you go a step up from that in any way, it's like, no, limited ads. I'm like, nah, we'll roll the dice. And I just put, nope, everything's fine with this video. There's no worry, no content warnings, nothing. And it went through, so we'll see. Yeah, fun stuff. But all right. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks.